So we've talked on this stream, both myself individually and with NoJustice, about the issue of the incredibly massive issue of the random group game between Aston Villa Football Club and Maccabi Tel Aviv. One of the truly great titanic tussles of the football pitch. I'm being sarcastic. Anyway,
To paraphrase David Mitchell, it was indeed being described as a game that was on last week.
literally, like most of the time, no one would give the slightest shit, other than the fans of the two clubs involved and maybe someone having a bet. That's about it. Literally it. No one gives a fuck, right? But the thing is, I don't know if you've heard, but there's a cheeky bit of genocide going on in Israel/Palestine at the moment and for the last 80 years, but specifically the last 2 and a bit years. And so it's quite controversial that Maccabi Tel Aviv, a club from Israel, is still allowed to participate, even if we ignore the geographic limitations of the fact that they shouldn't be in the European groups anyway.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
And I forgot to turn my fucking noises off, so I'll start that sentence again. Thank you for your annoying generosity, chat. Anyway. Yeah, so Maccabi Tel Aviv shouldn't even be in the European groups, but whatever, right?
That's a separate issue.
That is a separate issue, yes. I, as a football fan and as a basic, decent human being, think that along the same lines as Russia being banned from European and international competitions and their domestic clubs being banned from continental competitions for their invasion of Ukraine, the same should happen to Israel for their much greater crimes that they are currently and have been committing over the last 2 years. Except, of course, UEFA are a bought and paid for horrible shithouse organisation that are in hock to the likes of Saudi Arabia and Israel, unfortunately. And so they have not done that, which have led to all kinds of problems with the national Israeli team going to places like Norway and the Norwegian FA literally donating the funds from that game, which, by the way, Denmark won 5-0. It's not Denmark, Norway won 5-0. The Italian team having to literally shut down a major Italian city for the day to have the Israeli team come in, play the game, and then just get rid of them as quickly as possible because no one wants the genocide FC in their country. They don't want it. And what makes it even worse for Maccabi Tel Aviv, of course, is that they aren't just from Israel and are horrific Zionist pieces of shit themselves, but they're also incredibly violent, incredibly racist, have a track record of going on Arab hunts, as they like to call it. They have a song where they sing about both murdering the fans of the rival local team, Hapoel Tel Aviv, but also raping their women. They literally have a rape song.
They're monsters. And this all came to a head when they went to a football game in Amsterdam earlier on this year, which was described as a pogrom against Jews by Netanyahu, so much so that he sent flights over like it was Operation Entebbe to rescue members of the IDF when it really was a bunch of football hooligans meeting their match, right? They quite literally chat shit and got banged when they tried to do their pro-genocide nonsense in Amsterdam. And when this happened, there was information that was collated and collected about the behaviour of the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans by the Amsterdam police. And this information was relayed to West Midlands police, who are part of the jurisdiction for the West Midlands police who would control the area around the match between Aston Villa and Maccabi Tel Aviv.
Specifically Aston.
Indeed.
Which is the area of Birmingham this would be taking part in, yes. Which is a neighbouring area to Handsworth, described as a slum by a former member of the British government. There we go.
Indeed. So there was information shared from the Amsterdam police to West Midlands police, who would be the ones policing the game between Villa and Maccabi.
Yeah.
And this information wasn't known specifically, but West Midlands police said that from the information they had, they didn't think that they could maintain order for the match. And this was described as banning Jews from Aston. And whilst lots of members of our opinion spewer class, our commentator demographic, our journalists in this country, decided this was because they essentially thought that the West Midlands police were saying that they couldn't justify allowing Israelis to this country because they might be at threat from the Muslimics of Birmingham. This was what was told to us by the Secretary of State for Digital Culture, Media and Sport, Lisa Nandy, in the House of Commons. And she thought it was a great shame. She thought it was a great shame that we couldn't guarantee the safety of Israelis in this country.
Yeah.
Until, of course, West Midlands Police themselves released their own guidance about what happened.
Well,
and it was actually nothing to do with the people of Aston, was it?
Yeah, so she's a complete liar on this. But of course, let's not get ahead of ourselves, because the timeline is she spoke in the House of Commons, lied, accused members of Parliament of being anti-Semitic, which apparently isn't against the rules. It's only bad if you accuse a white person of doing racism. Anyway, let's get the Erskine May nonsense out of the way there. Anyway, the weekend after that happened, so she spoke on, I think, the Thursday. On the Saturday, there was the Tel Aviv derby between Maccabi and Hapoel, again, the group of people that they sing about murdering and raping their women. And the violence was so bad that the Israeli police shut the game down. It literally didn't take place. It was so violent that the Israeli police, who are trained by the IDF, right, shut the game down and said, we can't fucking keep order, this is ridiculous, and it has to now be played, I believe, behind closed doors at some future date. Because it literally is so violent. So they all went to bat, they all smeared the people of Birmingham, they smeared all Muslims, basically, in Britain. They put all of the lives of the people that might have been interacted with these fans at risk, because, again, they have literally fucking attacked and murdered people in the past, and sing about doing so, and the degree to which they like to do so. All to go to bat for, basically, Zionism, for Israel, because Israel wants to be a part of this in exactly the same way that they are desperate to be a part of Eurovision. It's a fantastic way of sports washing or music washing their image, because they want to be seen as the nice nation that plays football, not the bad nation that shoots brown people. Type thing, right?
Exactly. Like, our government were trying to move heaven on earth to overrule the independent decision of West Midlands Police because of their interest in geopolitics over the interest of their own citizens, right? Our government is more occupied than the fucking West Bank, mate. Because they were out there trying to put their own citizens in risk of harm so they could have friendly relationships with the Israeli Foreign Office. Gideon Saar, I believe, is their foreign minister.
Indeed.
I mean, there was literally a meeting between Yvette Cooper, the foreign secretary, and Gideon Saar the week after all this furore started, where Gideon Saar and Yvette Cooper had a discussion about ensuring that Maccabi Tel Aviv fans could be let into the United Kingdom to watch the game.
And it was so bad that literally the decision was eventually taken. The government tried to overrule the independent operational ruling of the West Midlands Police Force and the security group here in the Midlands. They tried to overrule that, basically, even though they claimed they didn't try to overrule it. And eventually, Maccabi Tel Aviv themselves went, we're not taking the tickets. They literally went, this is not worth the shit. We're just not going there, okay? Or at least the fans aren't. The team did, and by the way, they lost 2-0 to Aston Villa. It's a lot easier shooting innocent, unarmed children than it is taking on 11 human adults, you know. But there we go. That's a different matter entirely.
I mean, what was really happening there is that Maccabi Tel Aviv were trying to jump the gun. They were trying to get ahead of the obvious information that would then come out, which was that these people are violent hooligans, they're Kahanist ultras, they are fundamentally Nazis, essentially, in terms of their viewpoint towards Arabs. They knew this information would come eventually because, of course, they knew they were in fucking fans. And so they were trying to make sure that the idea that their fans weren't safe in this country was a position that was in the public consciousness, even though the polling at the time of the decision of West Midlands Police was that they were correct. Like the government, who are popularists in every sense of the word for everything else, they will try and take the median position that polling says on everything else, apart from when it comes to Israel, apparently. It's the only thing where they refuse to do the wishes of the electorate when the polling goes against them.
And of course, Maccabi themselves knew that if their fans did turn up, there would be trouble, and there would be obvious video footage of their fans singing about killing Arabs and attacking Muslims and all the rest of it, because that was obviously going to happen. Now, the game thankfully did go off relatively peacefully in the end, albeit slightly comically in the sense that only about a third of the ground was full. Literally, they sold far more tickets than people who actually attended. people who had bought tickets couldn't give them away because no one wanted to go anywhere near the place because there were going to be locals protesting, and there were going to be pro-Israel people and anti-Israel people, and there was going to be fucking these far-right dickheads, the Tommy Robinsons. Although interestingly, Tommy Tel Aviv 10 names was in Spain. He incited his fans to go there and kick off, but he was safely ensconced over in fucking Spain, obviously, naturally. His natural habitat.
I love that we can literally call him Tel Aviv Tommy now, which is great.
It's amazing stuff. Anyway, but thankfully they drafted in like 700 extra police. That's quite expensive, but they were able to keep them sort of at arm's length for the most part. There was some silliness and a few arrests and stuff, but largely it was fine. Of course, there was some victim playing from the Zionists who were told to amass in a certain point away from the main road, because the main road at the Doug Ellis stand end of the ground literally backs onto the road, so the turnstiles are literally a few feet from the road, and it's a major thoroughfare for people going back and forth during the game, or before the game and after the game. So you can't have lots of people standing around blocking the place, because it becomes a very significant public safety hazard at that point. People would be crushed to death potentially. So they were asked to stand in Witten Garden basketball court. But of course that has a fence on it. And so they started going, they fenced in the Jews. Like the victim playing there is fucking mental. Firstly, they didn't pick you out for being Jews. You specifically went there because you wanted to be part of that one protest. And you were told to amass there so that they could get the people into the ground who wanted to go to the game and then take you up the road safely.
I mean, what's happening here is that these people don't know what protests are and how they work and how police control protests, because they never have anything to protest, because the government does whatever they want all the time, including in this case, right? They were protesting West Midlands police, which is quite interesting for them to do. The ones who are then, following the rules on how you govern protests, which is that you have them in separate areas, you separate them deliberately with barriers in between so they don't fight each other for public safety and public order concerns, but because they think that the police are there to protect them, i.e. they are the in-group, therefore the state should be protecting them at the expense of their ideological out-group opposition, the moment the police are asking them to do anything, they're like, well, no, you can't control me, you're supposed to be protecting me, I'm the in-group. And so they lose their shit. And fundamentally, this is because they've never been on a protest before, so they don't know how the rules work. Basically. Just like how whenever the EDL start protesting, they did a fucking Remembrance Day protest last year, where a bunch of them got arrested because they were wearing face masks, and there was a police section 38 order, I think it is, in place, which is that they can mandate the removing of face coverings. And if you're on a leftist protest, you understand that when they do this, you have to take your face covering off, or you basically just go home. These people don't understand protest law because they never go on it and they never bother to protest professionally, I guess, in the way that leftoids do. And so they thought they were being treated unfairly. They were talking about two-tier policing. No, they were just the same tiers. You just never adhere to the rules that we adhere to because you're an idiot.
Yeah.
And internet's free.
Indeed. And there was one quite nice moment during the game when the Villa fans started singing "It's All Gone Quiet Over There" at the empty away end. Fair dues. I don't like you lads, but fair enough. That's pretty good. Anyway, so on to the fact that the lying liar lied and will lie again.
You told the House of Commons that decision was based in no small part on the risk based to those fans that are attending to support Maccabi Tel Aviv because they are Israeli and because they are Jewish. West Midlands Police told Parliament this week and Sky News this week that was not the reason, that the reason was because of the hooliganism of those fans. Would you like to apologise to West Midlands Police?
No, but I would like to commend West Midlands Police for the policing operation that saw hundreds of officers deployed onto the streets with care and sensitivity. But I want to be really clear with you on this point, Lewis. I, of course, as you would expect, requested the advice from West Midlands Police.
Well, shall we take a look at that advice?
That's a very good idea, Kevin.
Shall we maybe take a cheeky little gander at what she was given as advice? So here we go. We have initially a description of the events of Amsterdam, where it goes through the fact that 500 to 600 of them were intentionally targeting Muslim communities and committing a variety of targeted, hate-motivated crimes, including serious assaults on Muslim taxi drivers, throwing innocent members of the public into the river, tearing down Palestine flags and singing hate-fueled songs, etc., etc. The threat assessment Having assessed the situation against the disorder model, it is considered that the event is causing tension. This is based on potential for serious and sustained violence from risk elements of Maccabi fans. Numerous local communities are extremely concerned and fear of the event. The local community's concerns and probable risk of serious violence, the potential for significant protests, including various groups against the event. Organised groups may attend to disrupt the fixture using a variety of tactics. There will be significant disruption to city centre and wider Birmingham. All groups are known direct anger towards police, which, you know, the last one, who cares? Risk of significant spontaneous disorder, high. Risk of antisocial behaviour, high. Risk of protest, high. Risk to away fan supporters, high. Risk of pre-planned disorder, medium. Risk to local Muslim communities, medium. Pro-Palestine protesters, medium. Risk of crime, medium, etc., etc., etc. Based on the above, the overall risk assessment is high. So that's what she was told. She was told by the West Midlands Police that they had gone to Amsterdam, specifically 500 to 600 Maccabi fans, intentionally trying to fuck... I mean, essentially, if you throw someone into a river, that's basically attempted murder at that fucking point. It's a very significant risk to that person's health and or life. And that this was a potentially high risk in this case. And she's now going to bat still in the face of
the very
this
first
evidence.
two things. Like, the very first two things in the threat assessment are about the violence and risk elements of Maccabi fans and the concern of local communities in fear of the event.
Yeah. But the thing is, she's bought and paid for by Israel, not by the people of Aston. So she doesn't give a fuck about them. She's happy to smear them as evil Muslimoids. Disgusting shit. Anyway, where were we? Oh, bugger.
No, it's bear with me to reframe my thing. One second.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I forgot about that, yeah. You got it?
Yeah, good to go.
Course, as you would expect, requested the advice from Westminster Police to the Safety Advisory Group, who make the ultimate decision on this, before we took any decisions around it. That advice...
Also, you say take the ultimate decision, but you were trying to overturn that quote-unquote ultimate decision.
Literally, there were meetings going on at pace. They had closed down business in other departments who had presumably real shit to be doing so that you could overrule this independent decision.
Well, it was announced on the same day, actually the day before I should say, that childhood homelessness had reached a peak in the United Kingdom. We've never had more or a higher percentage of child homelessness than we have now. There were not emergency meetings in Westminster about that. There were about trying to allow in Israeli hooligans, though. So again, if you wonder who they're governing on behalf of, it's probably not us.
It was crystal clear that there were a number of factors that went into the decision that West Midlands Police, the recommendation that they put forward that away fans should be banned, that was based on an assessment of risk that included an element of hooliganism amongst the away fans, but it was absolutely crystal clear that the risk to the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans was high.
Sorry, Culture Secretary. Chief Superintendent Tom Joyce told Sky News, "We are simply trying to make decisions based on community safety driven by the intelligence that was available to us and our assessment of the risk that was coming from admitting travelling fans." They have been clear this week that the primary driver around this was about the threat posed by those fans. And you said it was about anti-Semitism. That was wrong, wasn't it?
It was absolutely wrong. And thank
She
you for
lied to the
bringing the
house.
receipts.
She lied to the house.
Absolutely. There should be an emergency question on Tuesday about this, and she should be brought to task about this. You have to say, of course she may have unintentionally misled the house, because that's a load of bollocks, but that's the thing, right? She absolutely needs to be fucking called up about this, because this is fucking ridiculous. Like, it's not even as if this is an unprecedented thing, which again is another lie she told. She said this had never happened before, except of course loads of people have been banned, including of course there was the fans from, I've forgotten the club, that's very, very annoying, who had been banned from the very same stadium 18 months prior. So this is not an unusual thing, either for Britain or for British clubs travelling in Europe. Literally, the Italian government had suspended its membership of the Schengen Agreement for 2 days so that they could potentially ban all German travellers to Italy so that they would stop Eintracht Frankfurt fans from being able to attend the game against Napoli in Naples.
I mean, yeah, because fans are notorious for hooliganism. Like, there's a reason why there's no such thing as cricket hooliganism.
True.
Formula One hooliganism.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, this is the thing. There is something unique about football, unfortunately. Like, you can get pissed up as fuck at the rugby and there isn't the trouble. I've seen some of the drunkest people ever at the cricket, and I don't think I've ever really seen any trouble. And I've seen, like, crazy drunkenness. Like, drunkenness you would never see at the football. Levels of, like, Caribbean rum intoxication levels, right? Mad shit. And they're fine. They're chill. There is something, unfortunately, about football, which means, of course, it has to be taken as a high-risk event. And also, like, attending an away game in Europe is not a right. It's a privilege. Whereas the safety of the people of Birmingham is a right. People do have a right to feel safe in their own fucking streets. And not have mad, marauding lunatics strolling about the place. So yeah, if the occasional nutbag has to be fucking banned, fine. That's grand. They can watch it on telly at home. They shouldn't even be in the fucking tournament anyway. But if they're going to be, you can watch it at home. Jesus Christ.
And that's a decision that they made themselves.
Yeah.
It was not wrong. And I'm telling you, Lewis, that I have read that report from West Midlands Police to the Safety Advisory Committee who make the decision. And that report was absolutely crystal clear that although there were a number of factors that went into their recommendation to ban away fans, the high risk that they identified was to those fans themselves.
No, it wasn't.
When they say that there is a high risk to away risk supporters, yeah, because those are the ones that are going to bring risk upon themselves. That's what the point is being made there.
Yeah.
It didn't say that there was a risk to away supporters.
And at no point did it say there's a risk because they're Jewish. That's a lie. That it didn't get said. It said that because of their notoriety, and B, the fact that they're highly likely to kick off themselves, means that people might fucking fight back.
That's it. That's the point. That's why they say that there is a risk to away risk supporters, not to away supporters more generally.
Yeah.
That was not just on the basis that they were Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. It was because it was an Israeli team, and it's because many of those supporters were Jewish.
Really? Because if that were true, why was the delegate from the Israeli embassy able to attend the game perfectly fine and leave perfectly fine? Why were there a large
Jewish
group?
Aston Villa fans allowed to come?
Absolutely. Why were there? I mean, there was even a huge pro-Israel. Well, I say huge, a significant pro-Israel protest outside the ground, which was policed very well by the looks of things. Yeah, and they were fine.
Brought in Israeli flags into the ground.
Yeah, there were those two women with the Jewess, or not the Jew, Zioness, or whatever it was, t-shirts, which is a bit fucking grim. But they were allowed into the ground, and they did their thing. And it's fine. No one really gave a fuck, for the most part. I think, to be honest with you, most Villa fans were happy just to get the game out of the way, and not to have their team used as a fucking political football by gobshites like this. In all honesty, I think most people in the city were happy to see it gone as well. Because let's be honest, we've been thrown under the bus by Zionists for Zionist reasons. And that doesn't feel great, knowing that your government will not only not defend you if you get murdered by Israel, but will happily smear you for daring to be opposed to that. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Lisa Nandy, you are a fucking disgrace. You should resign for being corrupt, as previously discussed, taking money and then appointing people who gave you money, and secondly, for blatantly lying and smearing the denizens of your second largest city, all in service of a foreign government.
In the mother of all parliaments, she told a deliberate and malicious and pernicious lie about the people of Birmingham during a time at which community tensions are incredibly high because we have a government and an opposition and an actual real opposition who happen to only have 5 MPs, where they're trying to demonize Muslims in this country more broadly.
Yeah.
And she's just carrying on those smears to defend a foreign fucking state, and not any foreign fucking state, a foreign state committing genocide.
What part of the national renewal is this?
I mean, she must resign. You can't just lie to the House deliberately and at the expense of a whole community in this country.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to lie about being ambushed by cake. It's one thing to lie about it's one thing to lie about having a piss up at number 10 when you were supposed to be social distancing, right? Bad, criminal, for sure. But in terms of the actual overall impact, pretty low. Pretty low to lie about vomiting up the walls in number 10 during lockdown. Deliberately and perniciously lying to smear entire fucking parts of your citizenry at the behest of a foreign state is despicable. It is absolutely despicable. It's shameful.